want to take shots downfield and opportunities when you need to throw it underneath. And every game's different in this league. I mean, there's a lot of great pass rushers, and you have to just find spots where you can have the quiet feet and can execute the offense the way it's supposed to be executed.
So as part of your study, like, will you study Myles Garrett and his moves, for example, which way he like is that part of your study as well?
Yeah, I mean, he's just really good. So it's he's pretty much good at everything. So just finding ways to get the ball in my hands whenever he's when he's rushing, and then whenever we need to take shots down the field, just having extra ways to manipulate his pass rush, or have help with other two people blocking him and stuff like that. But they have a good defensive team. I mean, they have a good football team in general, but especially their defense, and it'll be a great challenge for us, and we have to go out there and play our best football to win.
Good morning, Kansas City. This is New Day with SSJ on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Stephen St. John here with Jake Gutierrez on this Thursday, December 12, 2024. Packed show for you. 6:30, former Chiefs offensive lineman Joe Valerio joins us. 7:05, our NFL insider Adam Kaplan. That goes into 7:30. We'll chat with Greg Gurley about college basketball. 8 o'clock hour, former Chiefs Gary Dieter and Anthony Sherman will be in studio. Then in the 9 o'clock hour, Chiefs beat reporter Jesse Newell from the Kansas City Star will be in studio. And our friends from Emo's Pizza are going to stop by around 9:30, so that's good in this hood. And we are still celebrating the 12 days of Happy Holidays, courtesy of our friends at Boulevard Brewing Company. New Day with SSJ and Sports Radio 810 WHB. You see the sign in front of you. Jake, read the sign. What's it say?
It says, born and bred in the Midwest. Boulevard Brewing Company.
Very nice. Very nice addition to your man cave, woman cave, whatever.
Lovely colors. The color scheme on it's beautiful.
Put it in your basement. We will give that away between now and 10 o'clock, but that's a very nice beer sign, a tin, a tack that will look good above your bar, wherever you put it, really. Doesn't matter.
Above your bed.
Yeah. Bedroom ceiling.
Yeah.
It's that time. Christmas time is here.
So there.
We're less than 2 weeks away, huh? Wow. 13 days?
I don't have any shopping.
None. None.
I don't know what we're doing. I'm going over to Richie's. Obviously, going to watch the Chiefs, but then I think go see Nosferatu at night. I don't know. I don't know if we need to go see a devil movie at night, but whatever.
Is it Dracula or the devil?
Dracula.
Oh.
Aren't they all the same?
No. Big difference.
Maybe.
Dracula's not the devil.
He could be.
Well, I think he's just misunderstood. It's here. Christmas time.
It's here whether you're ready or not.
And we're going to hook you up with some gifts.
Yeah, this could be a Christmas present for somebody if you win it. We'll find out. Such bizarre news. Bill Belichick agreeing to be the new head coach at North Carolina. I mean, not even like a great football program in college, but his father coached there. And there's a picture of a little Bill Belichick at a North Carolina practice. So he holds the program in high regard. Just so bizarre. And then the GM of the football program is going to be Michael Lombardi, who used to be a weekly guest on the show. And then when Jake came back, I think one of the first questions he asked, hey, should I book Michael Lombardi? I said, no, never. Not as long as I'm hosting the show. Why, you ask? Because when I had a chance to meet him face to face at one of the Super Bowls I was at, he was not a pleasant person, Jake.
I believe
He
that,
was
actually.
not a pleasant guy to deal with, and I don't have time for those type of people in my life.
I believe that because
You know?
dealing with him was not fun.
Yeah, because we had technical difficulties, and he's just like he's hovering over me, and I can only do what I can do, and something was wrong with the phone line on Radio Row at the Super Bowl, and I've got enough problems trying to get on the air and everything else, and he's huffing and puffing. I just thought I'd come and be on the show live with you. I guess you're not ready for me. I said the phone line's down. I mean, there's nothing You see this here? There's no AT&T on my shirt. I can't do anything. And he was just very much a prick about it. And so that's when we decided, hey, we probably won't have him on the show anymore. But good. Go be the GM at North Carolina.
Hey, there you go.
I mean, I kind of like Bill Belichick. Don't like Michael Lombardi. So how's that work out? Is that wrong with me?
No. I think you've earned that right. You've been around long
No, I
enough.
just like when someone presents themselves that way, and then you see how they're just like, wow, this guy's got something about him. A certain type of arrogance or whatever. Like, I don't need that. Good guess without that good. We'll find some others.
That is interesting.
What?
He'll be the GM there.
And they're going to have their NIL money go from $4 million to $20 million?
Yeah, that's a big difference. I mean, that puts them in the upper echelon.
I have no idea whether that's going to work or not. I have no feel for that whatsoever. I would not be surprised if it's a failure. I wouldn't be surprised if, I don't know. What's North Carolina been under Mac Brown recently?
Pretty mediocre. I mean, I feel like they've made a bowl game or two, but
Right.
not really relevant in terms of the ACC race or.
Right. Let's see. North Carolina football history. We'll just go since 2015, right? 2015, under Larry Fedora, they won 11 games, 11-3.
Yeah.
And they lost in the Russell Athletic Bowl. And then Larry Fedora had 3 more years, 8-5, 3-9, 2-9. Then Mac Brown came in. Here's what they were under Mac Brown: 7-6, 8-4, 6-7, 9-5, 8-5, 6-6. Yeah, that's about right. I think they'll be that. I think the upside there is maybe, 8 wins, 7 or 8 wins, and then
Pop a 9 off once in
I mean,
once
I
in his
don't
career,
know,
once in
man.
5
I don't
or 6
know.
years.
I don't know.
I mean, they went to bowl games.
Yeah, they go to a bowl game every year.
Right.
They've gone to a bowl game, 6 straight years. So
They've lost their last 4 bowl games.
right. But just to continue that trend of going to okay bowl games, Military Bowl, Orange Bowl was great, but they were 8-4. God. Duke's Mayo Bowl, Holiday Bowl, Duke's Mayo Bowl, Fenway Bowl. Yeah. That's about right, I think. Like, what do you think he's going to do down there?
I honestly don't know. I don't have a good grip on.
Part of the deal is the son's going to take over him as the head coach. I don't know, man.
It's fascinating to me. I mean, it's going to be.
Because it's North Carolina. Like, if he was walking into a storied program or a program that was already considered elite, that would be one thing. But, North Carolina's is mid. There's okay.
Yeah, but that conference is not. I mean, it's. You can do work in that conference. There's no one really that's going to be. There's no. It's not the SEC.
No.
It's not. So it's not the Big Ten.
No.
So he can do damage if he gets a program in line and gets the right players in there and gets system going. I mean, that's for me. That's the upside. It's because you're playing in the ACC. There's no dominant coach and program in the ACC. Clemson, but they've been just okay.
Like SMU's a really good program. We'll see if they can
Right.
sustain, but that's a good program.
Yeah. How long are they going to keep that coach around, though?
Clemson's solid. Miami looks like they got things in the right direction. Syracuse looks like they just hired the right coach.
Yeah, I mean, these are all.
They're okay.
Yeah, but they're not. It's not Texas. It's not Alabama. It's not Michigan, Ohio State.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I just don't. I have no strong feeling about it. It is so bizarre that I really can't wrap my head around it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's how I feel. It's like I'm gonna pay attention. I'm now gonna see what's going on down at North Carolina.
Would you have ever guessed that though?
No.
I would have never guessed he'd go
No.
back to college or go to college football, and I certainly wouldn't have guessed he would go to North Carolina.
Oh, when these reports started coming out that he was having these talks, I was like, yeah, he's putting his name. He's letting everybody know. He's letting everybody know that he's back into interested in coaching.
Do you want to know why I thought it was a real thing from the beginning?
Why?
One thing: the succession plan for his son.
Okay.
Because not everyone's going to do that, right? You can't go to an NFL team and say, hey, look,
No.
I'll be your coach, and then old Steve Belichick's going to take over for me.
With that, the absolute
Most NFL owners are looking like, okay, great.
zero
No,
NFL
no.
owners would do that. None.
And not all colleges would. That's a pretty steep price to pay. Because what is Steve Belichick? Are you sure? Then we're really in great hands. If you believe in the system that he's going to put in place, right? This NFL style front office and everything, then okay, you got to believe in that, and then you believe that Steve Belichick could continue it. But I think that's a huge part of it.
Yeah.
It's a bold move for him, and it's something that he could prove people wrong. He could accomplish something that many people think that he can't accomplish if he went down there and say this made the college football playoffs. If he made the college football playoffs, that would be a wild success. You don't have to win. I think it's too much to say, he's got to go in and win a national championship. No. If he got that team in the college football playoffs, you would have to say, wow, that's great.
Yeah.
And look how relevant we are.
And I think that's doable.
Okay, what did Deion do in Colorado?
I mean, turn that program.
He didn't get them to the college football playoffs yet, but
They're knocking
made
on
them
the door.
relevant. They're going to have the Heisman Trophy Award winner and likely the number 1 overall pick, and recruits are flocking there.
Right.
And there's tremendous interest. They're one of the most talked about and most watched college football teams in the nation. Can Bill Belichick do for North Carolina what Deion Sanders did for Colorado? Can he?
I think he can.
Would that be a success?
I think absolutely it would be.
Okay.
If he gets that team to college football playoffs, that they did.
But what if he gets where Deion has him now? Battling for a division championship, didn't quite get there, but winning 8 or 9 or 10 games, churning out some draft picks, selling out crowds, and getting people interested.
I think that for North Carolina, that's a win.
Yep.
I mean, Deion's the biggest deal in college football.
So, I could tell you from my perspective, there's no way I will be watching any North Carolina football next year whatsoever, because I didn't watch any this year. I didn't watch any the year before or the year before that. I don't know. I may have watched a couple of quarters of North Carolina football under Mac Brown, their Orange Bowl year when they were ranked in the top 15. But there's been no reason for me to watch any North Carolina football at all for any reason. And I can tell you that this year I will watch some North Carolina football. So that's a win, right? You have a bunch of people who had no reason to watch Carolina football that'll tune in and check it out.
Yeah, they just became relevant.
Let's see how this works. It's fascinating. So there's win number one. Is he sell tickets? Yep, he sells tickets. Does he get eyeballs? At least for a while, he'll get some eyeballs. Now, he's going to have to do what Dion did and then turn that into a product that's fun to watch. I already saw a couple of, or at least one or two Carolina players. I am taking myself out of the transfer portal because they're going to stay and they want to play for Bill Belichick. You know, and again, it's so different. Like then, you know, when other coaches have tried this. I mean, this is different. College football is so different. You NIL, transfer portal, all these different things. He's got a GM. You know, they've got a salary cap. They've got all these different things in place that can help him be successful. So and you're right. You're absolutely right about the ACC. If he was going to the SEC, the chances would be, or the Big Ten, the chances would be much less for him to be successful. But the ACC is more wide open. Absolutely. It's just so weird, man. It's just so bizarre.
Yeah, didn't have that on the bingo card for this offseason. No way. I thought for sure. I mean, I thought he'd be in the consideration for several jobs in the NFL. Especially, let's see how the playoffs shake out. You know, I think there's some good quality teams that they get knocked out in the first round of the playoffs. They're probably going to be looking for a new coach.
Do you think maybe that's something he was floating out there with some other jobs? Like, yeah, and I want my son to be the coach in waiting.
I couldn't imagine that.
Really, that's on his mind. That's what he wants. I mean, you know.
I mean, I just in the NFL, I think that he knows that no, I don't know. I would be so hard pressed to think that he would, if it wasn't a possibility in New England, and he really wanted to go back to the NFL, and that was what kept him from going back. I think he's.
Maybe he just says, look, if I'm going to go do something, I'm going to do it exactly the way I want it.
Because his sons were with him in New England, and neither one of them were part of that success. Did one of them stay on and help Gerard Mayo? I'm asking questions that
I don't know.
I'm pulling a Nate.
Right.
I'm asking you questions that I know you don't know. But I feel like that happened. So I get it, man. His father coached there. He's going to coach there. I mean, that's legacy. Setting your son up?
Yes.
Makes sense. I mean, so I get it. And I think he has the right frame of mind in terms of how he wants to, I'm going to be a feeder for the NFL.
Do you know where Steve Belichick was this past year?
Was he in New England?
No. Defensive coordinator for the Washington Huskies.
Oh, okay.
So he's already in college.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense.
And per Ali Connolly of The Guardian, Steve Belichick is expected to be part of his father's new staff, including Bill Belichick wanting a deal to come with a guarantee that his son would become the head coach in waiting. Steve Belichick's 36 years old. He served as the Patriots on the Patriots staff under his father, including 4 years as outside linebackers coach. He was also New England's defensive play caller. So, the Huskies' defense has been impressive in Belichick's first year. 5th in FBS with just 166 passing yards allowed per game. 27th at 324 yards per game. Blah, blah. But, I mean, that's part of it, right? That's a big part of it.
I think that would be a giant motivating factor. I mean, I think that would be the only I don't want to say only, but for him,
that would be a big deciding factor. Like, I can set my
I think
son
that
up.
would be the majority of the factor. Mm-hmm. Well, and the coach where your father coached.
Yeah.
I mean, because he's not that many he's a couple seasons away in the NFL from being the all-time winningest coach. I mean, he's like 10 or 12 wins away.
And speaking of college, I know that you wanted me to mention this, Jake, so I will not disappoint you.
Thank you. It's all about me, right?
Well, it's a little bit about you here. You'd be somewhat interested in this.
Okay.
The SEC football schedules were released. Mizzou's 2025 football schedule. You ready for this one? First question. How many home games does Mizzou start with? How many home games do they start with in a row?
In a row?
Yeah. How many home games to start the season
5.
in a row?
4.
6.
That's great.
I like that schedule. Would you like to hear the schedule?
I would.
Game 1, August 30th, Central Arkansas. Game 2, September 6th, Kansas.
All right. Bring that ass.
September 13th, Louisiana. September 20th, SEC opener, South Carolina. Let's go. September 27th, homecoming against UMass. Then October 11th, I will go to this game, Alabama. So Central Arkansas, Kansas, Louisiana, South Carolina, UMass, Alabama, before they ever hit the road. The first road game, Jake, October 18th at Auburn, and then at Vandy, home against Texas A&M, home against Mississippi State, at Oklahoma, at Arkansas.
That's a good schedule.
It's a good schedule.
That's a good schedule.
I like that schedule.
That's favorable.
I like that schedule. Now tell me who the quarterback's going to be that'll lead the team against that schedule, through that schedule, in that schedule.
I can't.
I want to know who the quarterback's going to be.
I'm sure you'll know soon enough.
Thank you. So there's your Mizzou football schedule. Circle September 6th, Kansas at Missouri. You can go to that? Are you going to try to go to that? Do you have any interest in going to that?
Yes, I do.
Do you really?
Yeah, I do.
To go at Mizzou?
Yeah.
See, you say that, but I don't think you want to go.
No, for that game?
Well, yeah. I mean, yes, for that game.
That would. I talk about going down there and seeing a game, but if there was a game for me to go see, I think that would be the one, right?
If you were just going to go as a fan, Alabama would probably be the one. But you know what the good game is?
KU.
These games against South Carolina are good effing games. But yeah, Kansas, September 6th. Circle that. Okay? Put that on your calendar well ahead of time. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll talk to former Chiefs offensive lineman Joe Valerio after this on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Welcome back to New Day with SSJ on Sports Radio 810 WHP. Cleveland sucks. Let's talk to former Chiefs offensive lineman Joe Valerio. Joe, good morning. How are you?
Steven, good morning. How are you, man? What an appropriate song. I've been singing that all week. So thanks for continuing to beat that into my head as we head into this Cleveland week. So super excited about what can come out of this game and the one other win if we get a loss by, the Lions beating the Bills and the Eagles beating the Steelers. And, man, one more win after this, and we've got it. So that's going to be a big step.
Well, shockingly, we need to worry about left tackle again this weekend because Myles Garrett perhaps is the best pass rusher in the NFL, and DJ Humphries is dealing with a strained hamstring. Wanye Morris had to come in for him in the fourth quarter and handle the final 9 snaps of the Chiefs' game-winning drive. Andy Reid said Humphries had an MRI on Monday. On Wednesday, he said that Humphries wasn't going to practice. They haven't listed him as out or anything. So he described him as day by day. Every day's gotten a little bit better, so we'll see how that works. And the media was able to see him stretching. And then that was it. And so if Humphries can't go against the Browns, what do you do? Wanye Morris or Joe Thuney?
Man, that's a good question. I think we solved it last week. We solved our dilemma on DJ Humphrey in there to actually play and get ready for the playoffs, and they did that. So I think that the Chiefs did exactly what I thought they would do. Wanye coming in at the end there throws things into a little bit of a mix. I think that was a good call. I think moving Joe out to left tackle, that late in the game without really mentally preparing for it the way he would if he's been doing that this week was different. So I think they made the right call in putting Wanye out there. Look, I know it sounds like I'm avoiding the question because I'm stating what happened. But I think personally, I think you have to go with Wanye. I do. Against a pass rusher like Myles Garrett, look, Joe is fantastic. When he gets out there and plays left tackle, he does his thing because he's disciplined. He's got great technique. He's a great athlete. He's a fighter. He's a scrapper. He's a veteran. But I think the team is going to be better off keeping somebody who's been playing tackle all year, working on the technique, working on, whether or not it's been great, he's still a guy that has been doing it all year long. And I think they're going to have to do some kind of a max protection where, they're going to have to change their game plan against this team. And they're going to have to keep a tight end in to keep him from slow him down, to keep him from getting that edge and using his speed. Because I think that's really what's been the issue, Stephen. Having watched the game live on last Sunday night, I was sitting on about the 40-yard line. I had some great views of the speed at which the defensive ends are coming off the ball and getting around our tackles. It's sometimes it's hard to see on television, the angles that they put in the camera. And, man, when I was on that field level watching the speed at which the defensive ends were attacking the outside shoulder of our tackles, both on on both sides of the ball, and going against Juwan Taylor as well. That's what their defensive line coaches are teaching them. Use your speed to beat the speed of the two tackles that the Chiefs had. And, obviously DJ Humphries was an obvious one why his speed was off a little bit. He's, hasn't played football in 11 months. And Juwan, we know, and that's probably why Juwan gets a little jumpy. It's why he gets a little jumpy. I guess he feels like he doesn't have the speed to compensate for some of these fast pass rushers coming off the edge, and he wants to get out there and beat him to the punch. And I didn't hear it, but I did hear later after watching some replays that Collinsworth had made a comment about that. So I think the best thing they do is they go with Wanye. They push the protection to Myles Garrett the way that we used to do it with, Reggie White and Howie Long and all those premier pass rushers that Lawrence Taylor, that I played against in the 90s. And they're going to have to, Juwan Taylor and Trey Smith are going to be on an island. And man, Bill's comments on the show this week, I got a chance to listen to Bill Moss, and when he was talking about winning the one-on-one battles, and what we're not doing on the defensive line front, right, is when the offensive line pushes the protection one way or the other, we're not winning the one-on-one battles, and kind of going to flip that narrative a little bit and say, man, if we do this to protect Patrick and maybe run some more play action, keep Myles Garrett in his shoes a little bit, do a little bit of kind of RPO type stuff, those two are going to have to win their one-on-one battles over there. If we're going to sacrifice, Creed Humphrey always sliding to the left to protect Wanye and to get after Myles Garrett, then they're going to have to those guys are going to have to step up. So that's what I think. I think they're going to start Wanye. I think they're going to push the protection. They're going to keep a tight end in, slow him down a little bit, not give him that lane, run more play action, run what the Chiefs, their version of some kind of an RPO to keep him frozen in his shoes. When I was coaching high school football, we had a very undersized team that went all the way to the state championship, and we were kind of like Hoosiers, where we had no right playing against some of the teams that we were playing against. And we went against West Scranton, Pennsylvania, who had UB Brown, who was he started as a true freshman at Illinois, and then it was Matt McGloin, who was the quarterback for Penn State, who ended up getting some time in the NFL. So they had a really, really good team. And someone asked me, said, well, how are you going to block UB Brown? He's like twice the size of your biggest offensive lineman. And I said, well, we're not going to block him. And they're like, well, explain. And I said, well, that's what the triple option is. You don't block people. You make them make the decision, right? So when the quarterback reads, if he's dipping down, he doesn't hand the ball off and he keeps it. If he notices that he hesitates, the quarterback hands the give to the fullback, who gets a dive for 5 or 6 yards. So, I mean, I wonder if the Chiefs could take that kind of philosophy, maybe not in that particular extreme of an example that they're going to switch to the triple option, but find ways to slow him down and make him make decisions. That's what I would do against a guy who's really the bright spot on the defense.
Do you think Myles Garrett's the best pass rusher in football?
I mean, look, the way that these guys pass rush these days, Stephen, it's really hard to even determine who that is anymore, because if we let Chris Jones go and we just let him loose, he'd have way more sacks than he does right now, because I know that defensive line coaches and defensive coordinators are teaching their defensive linemen different ways to rush. And you can't rush a Lamar Jackson. You can't rush a Josh Allen, even Joe Burrow to a certain degree. And, of course, our own Patrick Mahomes. You can't rush them the same way that you used to. You can't just pin your ears back and just rush up the field and not – you have to protect the lanes. And so I think – maybe statistically he might look that way, or just on the way that he is out on the field. But it's really hard to tell these days. And I'm not trying to downplay him, but I'm also trying to say it's really hard these days to tell who is the best pass rusher, because defensive lines have changed so much in the way they get after the passer.
So the Browns are not a good team, but they have been able to rise up and get a couple of wins against the Ravens and the Steelers. Jameis Winston is a playmaker for both teams. It should be entertaining. What are the Chiefs favored by now, Jake? 4? Is it 4? It's 4. What do you expect from Chiefs at Browns?
Well, it's always a tough place to go play. It's not the old dog pound of the Marty Schottenheimer, Sam Ortigliano days that I was familiar with. But, Kevin Stefanski is a really, really good coach. I got a very good connection with him. He's a Penn grad. He's a Penn Quaker, one of those rare Ivy League guys that, make it to either coaching or playing in the NFL. And, so I think he's a really, really good coach. I think he's got the respect of his players, and they really enjoy playing for him. And right now I think they're missing a bunch of pieces. But look, some part of me says, which Jameis Winston shows up is going to be a factor in this game. I mean, the guy, we see that he does have some really, really bright spots, and he's had some really bright spots. I mean, this team has won some big games, and I think we can't discount that. And that's probably, if I had to say, that's probably what the line makers are kind of putting that 4-point line out there for, because they know that they have had some bright spots, beating the Ravens, beating the Steelers. I mean, that's big time. I mean, look, I know everybody, even a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while, but they can do it. They have the potential, and I'm assuming that's why this 4-point line is out there. People are also seeing, these line makers are also seeing the Chiefs aren't playing that well, and they're scraping by game after game, and I think that's probably a factor in it. But I just, there is something in my gut that's telling me this team is going to open up, because number one, they need to, Stephen. If they win 2 out of these next games, and Pittsburgh and Buffalo can slip up, you're talking about not having to play on Christmas Day after 4 days of rest. If they can lock this thing up somehow, man, that's going to put a lot on this team to win this game and one of their last 3 after that, to force the league to make them have home field advantage, which is what Andy's looking for, what every team is looking for. So I do think the Chiefs are going to win this one. I think that line is, I think it's false hope for the Browns. I think the Chiefs are going to win this game by 10, but I don't think they're going to win it scoring a lot of points again. I still think this team has a little ways to go with getting back into the high 20s and the 30-point scoring range. We haven't seen it. If they want to come out and do it, it's not going to make me sad, but I just feel like they will probably win this game, something like 20-10. It's going to be a low-scoring game, defensive battle for the Chiefs. They'll shut this team down. I think they'll get after Jameis. I think Steve Spagnuolo is going to have some things dialed up to get him out of his game, the way that he likes to do against quarterbacks who are not the Joe Burrows and Josh Allens of the world. And I think he's going to be able to shut them down. And the Chiefs will score 20. They'll score a couple touchdowns and a couple field goals, and they'll walk out of there 20-10 winners with a 10-point win. Not probably an offensive stellar performance, but they'll come away with the win, and defense will save the day.
Last question for you. What's your reaction to Bill Belichick going to North Carolina?
Oh my God! I was talking to my wife about that. So funny you should mention that, because how cool for a group of young men to get to play under, whether you like him, hate him, whatever. I know he's a polarizing kind of a figure, but I've really enjoyed watching him on the Manning cast and what the videos he does with Peyton Manning on ESPN and YouTube, and he's got a sense of humor. What a treat that would be for college kids to play for a 7-time Super Bowl champion coach that wants to give back and sort of get into the game where, North Carolina is not going to have a whole lot of NIL money. They're not in that Power 5 type
they said that they're upping it from $4 million to $20 million as a report as part of this deal. So I think all of a sudden they're going to have some NIL money.
There you go. What a great treat that would be for Chapel Hill to have Bill Belichick come in and for him to kind of sign off on his career.
It's going to be interesting. That's going to be like I told Jake. I have watched 0 North Carolina football over the past several seasons. I'll actually watch. So if they're looking for eyeballs and relevance, they got that, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, moving forward. Hey, tell people how they can listen to the podcast, Joe.
Sure, Stephen. Believe in Chiefs, BLEAV, Believe in Chiefs. My podcast partner, Jeff Bedoten. And also you can follow along updates on at Joe Valerio 73 on X, formerly Twitter.
All right, Joe, we'll talk to you next week, man. Thank you for the time.
Thanks, Stephen. Have a great one, bud. See you, pal.
You do the same thing. That's Joe Valerio, former Chiefs offensive lineman, who joins us every week right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Stephen St. John here for Diamonds Direct. It's the last chance sale this weekend, starting tomorrow, Saturday, And then Sunday, take 20% off virtually everything. Rings, earrings, pendants, bracelets, everything to make this holiday sparkle. Go see my friends at Diamonds Direct at 119th and Row. Go see Angie. Go see David. What is this, David? Or you could see my man Tom at Diamonds Direct at 119th and Row. It's the last chance sale.
David.
Yes?
What is this, David?
It is a ring. And so, expanded selection and top designers' appearances in the store, 20% off Friday through Sunday. Get the year's best value prices. And they have thousands of engagement rings on sale too, even wedding bands, and special financing. This is the big one. With in-store designer appearances all weekend, including Sunday. Go see the latest creations from the top jewelry designers in America. If you have a special occasion coming up or just want to finish your holiday shopping, you can't miss this. They're open all weekend. For the best selection, quality, and price, shop direct, Diamonds Direct at 119th and Row, or check them out online at diamondsdirect.com and tell them SSJ sent you. We've been talking about Bill Belichick. Here's a couple of minutes of Bill talking about the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes on Inside the NFL. Want to hear it? Good. Play it.
3rd and 10 play for Kansas City against the Chargers last week. This first shot is from the end zone. The Chiefs do, I think, what you would want to do here, which is to send the center Creed to the linebacker and have the back P. Ryan pick up the safety. Of course, that's Derwin James, so a really good blitzer. But it's almost like Mahomes has two sets of eyes. One set to look at the rush and the other set to look downfield and see the receivers. And so his instinctive ability here to slide on the rush, and we have a free blitzer coming out here on the edge, so he slides up and uses this almost as a screen to kind of buy more time in the pocket, come over here, and then with no footwork at all, just jumping up in the air, has the arm strength and the accuracy to just zip that ball to Worthy for a critical 3rd down conversion.
And, Coach, I know people are going to watch this and look at P. Ryan's block and think he was blowed up, but this is a great block by him to be able to push Derwin James to the right of Patrick Mahomes. This is what allows him to be able to step up here.
100%. This is a great job by P. Ryan. So it's a tough situation for the back, but he does a great job here. And of course, Mahomes is just to have that presence in the pocket and have his eyes downfield. Let's take a look at the route. Now, Kelsey has a lot of freedom in his route running tree. He can pretty much go wherever he goes after 5 yards. And so he's matched here, but he has enough awareness to not come back into this area because he's got another in-cut coming in behind him. So he drags the defender across to open up this space. Ultimately, Worthy, sees that the safety's on top of him, comes back into the space, and Mahomes hits him for a big play. But really, Kelsey does a great job of dragging the defender out of here so that there's a space there to throw.
And I think also what's amazing here is he has to come back in order to catch this football. If he waits on that, then these defenders can converge and probably make a play on him or the football.
What a play.
Yeah, what a play with the game on the line. Again, not luck. You got Bill Belichick singing the praises of Patrick Mahomes, and all you got to do is watch that play. Watch that clip, and you see. Great job by P. Ryan. But Mahomes sliding left, jumping in the air, contorting his body, delivering the pass to Xavier Worthy. That's why they win close games, baby. We got Adam Kaplan coming up next, then Greg Gurley, Gary Dieter, Anthony Sherman, Jesse Newell. Going to give away our Boulevard Brewing Company Born and Brewed in the Midwest beer sign for the 12 days of Hoppy Holidays. All that and more coming up between now and 10 o'clock right here on New Day with SSJ on Sports Radio 810 WHP.